kind of strange light is this? I feel so weak.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I am SocioPsycho and this is Mob Reviews, and today we take a look at Black Sails. This was created by Deck 13 and it is a third-person point-and-click adventure with a ghost mentality of lone drifting ship in the middle of the ocean. How well does this manage to pull that off? And that is what we will dive into here today. Now, first thing we're going to do is begin in the options menu. When it comes to the setting qualities of the game, you do have a wide berth of screen resolutions, so that is always nice to see. Anti-aliasing, you only have 4 times, but the game isn't so graphically intensifying that it really would need more, as you can also have gamma correction, which is always nice, so the game is not horribly dark in its base settings. They do have music on separate sliders, which is so important, and I'm really glad to see this, because the music in the game is not prevalent throughout the entire course of the game, but when it does hit those fine hiatuses of, ooh, I don't know if I want to go in here, or what's happening in the story, where is it going to transition? The music is on point. The sad aspect is that there's a lot of gaps where you're just wandering the ship and it feels really kind of boring because there's nothing filling up that dead space of time. So there's no music in a background sense mentality to bridge those gaps where there's not anything exciting happening or any sort of, you're just exploring, like, where did I put that one screw, or where's that one object I need? And so while you're playing Fetch Quest or Detective Find My Nuts, there's no music to help motivate you in that regard. The effects work fine, and the speech is actually pretty good. The voice acting in the game is done well, and we'll go more into that when we hit upon story. The game has been running at 60 frames per second with no tearing or clipping. Unfortunately, there has been a crash, and I have to state that. Now, while the crash did put me in a rather upset mood, I'd say, I'm not waving my arms in the air and yelling damnation with my fists raised into the sky, shaking ever so vibrantly. Why did you crash on me? And I lost all my progress. It sucked. There's no going on about it. I was playing for about 2 hours and I lost all my progression, and while I could easily get it back because I know where to go, the fact is there's no automatic save point in the game where it doesn't say, hey, you made it past puzzle number 5. We automatically save you. It doesn't go by these chapters in a very auto-save transition, and because of that, if something like a crash does happen, you're basically just saying, well, you know, these things happen, player, so screw off. And that's, on a developmental side, you're wasting my time, because I can understand, I really can, configurations, algorithms, coding, all of it. Something goes wrong. A patch comes out with your graphics card, for some reason it goes wonky with the game, boom, you crash. Easy fix on both ends, but there's so many variables upon how something can go bad. So not to have a baseline in there that says if it happens, we'll try to minimize how much collateral damage is done to the player is just, what the fuck? You're wasting my goddamn time. So that is very important to know. I'm not saying the game has a habit of crashing, and I'm not saying that it's going to crash for you. Unfortunately, it did crash for me, and that is what is the result of the game crashing. So if you do play the game, make sure you save as frequently as possible. Otherwise, you're just going to be standing there like, what the fuck? Like some big dumb gorilla with nobody there to pick the fleas off you. So when we jump into the game, the first thing we're going to talk about are the puzzles within the game. How you interact, because different adventure games do experience and are designed in different fashions. Unfortunately, while this, what I'm about to say, is very heavily opinionated, and you might, I want to state that because you might enjoy that very concept. I do not like scavenger questing. I do not like to have to find a lone key under a rock on a beach. That sort of mentality. There is a lot of scavenging questing in this game. Most of it is pretty simplistic to find out. You just really have to comb the room, and they do have, at the bottom right corner, you can see the interface is all sleek, it's nice and easy, and you can tell, okay, well here you have a help bar that when you click over it, you can see all the items that you can click in the room. Now, why this is very nice is because of the scavenger quest mentality in the game. Because the icons which you click on to see if an item in the world is interactive and is not just part of the scenery, the icons themselves are very small. So if you don't want to use the help button and you want to try to scan the entire map, which is really just wasting your time, but if that's what you enjoy, that's what you enjoy. But the icons are very small and they're very easy to mistakenly gloss over if you're not careful. Now some will pop more obviously than others, but when you're looking at trying to find that one key on that one table, or it glosses over and you miss it or something, my experience has been the majority of the items are a little rough, and there's a lot of items in the world that your character will say something about. They'll be like, ooh, look at these pipes, or this table has trays on it, but they don't impact outside of a base story. It leads to the stories going and it helps in that manner, but as far as the exploration of like, what do I click on, it doesn't help in that manner, and that can be good or bad depending on how you look at it. I think it's good because while it does add a instrumental tool to the story, it also says, hey, this environment feels a little more interactive, and I like that. It's just the areas now, because it's so saturated, you really do have to fine comb and pay attention to every single thing. Perfect example of this is if you need a leather belt later on for one of the puzzles, you have to find a piece of leather, and if you overlook it and you're like, what? Where is this thing? Where do I go? What the hell? You have to basically comb every single room for every single item that you need, and you will have to backtrack now and again, and you will have to make sure that you click on the tiniest minute things. Now, this sort of attention to detail is good because it means you need to pay attention. But in reality, it comes heavily down to a do you like scavenger quests? Find the one item on the ship that you need to progress. Okay, I need to find this item. When you find that item, it's rather obvious and easy to put together in your toolbars, you can see in the top corner, what you need to do. Hey, I have this leather piece, I can use my scissors. Hey, I have these leather pieces now, I can use string and thread to tie them together. There are many situations upon where the obvious choice of usage of the items in your inventory makes sense. There are a few locations and times where you're just scratching your head and you're thinking, I'm not sure I understand what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not sure I understand what I need to be doing or how I could get through this problem. Now, this is a contrast in the difficulty that best addressed with a help system, but unless you want to give a blatantly answer or hint to a player, which I'm not really for, you need to coax a halfway into the character. She needs to see a problem and sort of give a dialogue on it. I think I need to find some item that could do this for this application to help the player get into the same mindset as the situation dictates. Not give the answer or anything like that, but help nudge the player along so they don't get so easily stuck. Because the game doesn't really have a system of where things obviously make sense in what you need to find more times than not, you will end up getting stuck at certain points. A lot of the game makes sense in a fashion of A goes to B, B goes to C, C goes to D. But then you get E goes to Z, G goes to Y, and it's like, wait, is there a reason? That doesn't really make sense.
I've gotta help him.
I mean, I don't get it. There's a part later on when you have a shovel in your inventory and there's a pipe that's obviously busted. You need to expand upon that pipe to alleviate the steam going further down the pipe, thus allowing you to get past a certain point. Now, instead of using a shovel to bang on the pipe, which is rusted and everything else, and probably would be, quite frankly, very easy to get the gap open more, instead of doing that, or even giving the player a sense of communication with the character, if you put the shovel over the pipe and say, I want you to bash this pipe, I want you to break this pipe, I want you to do that, and she says, I'm not that strong, or I'm not that capable, or I'm not putting my face in that steam, something to convey that, okay, you know what, maybe that's not the smartest idea, or I get it, you're not that strong, we gotta work with your capabilities, that would make sense. But instead, it just gets this odd blank question of, that doesn't go there, or why should I do that, or no, I don't think that'll work. And it's like, really? Then what the hell am I supposed to do here? An item that you get from one side, and you're thinking, okay, what the hell do I do with this item? I guess I'll just blindly start to see if it wants to go with any other item in my inventory, until you somehow create an item which you still have no clue what you need it for. Now, like I said, most, probably about 80% of the game makes sense. It has some fluidity in a manner of, okay, you know, A goes to B, like I said. But it's that last 20% that is just so idiotically stupid, and the complete lack of any character analyzation of the situation makes you feel like an outside entity rather than trying to figure this out with the character to begin with. I don't mind feeling stupid while I play the game because I can't figure out where this part goes, but for the character to also be stupid is just, it's too much stupid. You can't have that much stupid in one room. It doesn't work. Somebody needs to be driving the boat, and if I don't know where the hell I'm going, the character at least needs to have a fucking map. And they don't even give you that. I know it's a lot of like metaphors, but that's how I feel. That's how the game sort of treats you. That if you don't understand the exact concept upon what they have in mind via some sort of MacGyvering or social engineering, whatever the case is, if you don't understand that exact element, your character's not going to give you any hints or helps, even though she's part of that world and is better equipped to handle that situation than I am now, looking on the outside in. When the difficulty of this game, the puzzles come down to, I would say more advanced to expert level rather than entry or complete noob for a adventure point-and-click game. And that's simply because the game does not reach out to a player and make you feel like you are one with the character. This ties heavily into the story element, where things only get worse. Now, the story, as I am to believe, is based off of real events, and whatever these real events were and how accurate they were, the story rotates around two people surviving from a shipwreck, climbing on board another ship which is apparently abandoned as you explore and find out, and you have to figure out, okay, is this ship haunted or some sort of experiments have been going on? What exactly is going on? And it tries to throw you into this oddity, but it doesn't do it in a horror sense. You're not feeling this surreal experience of, whoa, this is just weird. What the hell is happening? My hand is a frog and it's speaking French to me. What the fuck? There is none of that. There's no really confusion in the atmosphere of what the hell is going on for a story element progression that would allow the player to feel freaked out or terrified or even just fear, even in the smallest amount, upon where we go and what's happening. Now, part of this is due to the camera issue that they have, because a lot of times when you're moving and walking, the camera is not always the best. Sometimes it gets a little close, it goes around walls, and there's some navigational problems which just were not the best choices. It's not game breaking, but it doesn't help propel. So when you go down in the beginning and you have this dark, spooky hallway, it's like, ooh, it's spooky. But you're not going to be running away from anything. You're not going to be at an ends of survival. It's not a survival type mentality. It's not a timeline or time ticking mentality. So while occasionally here and there it might be, I wonder what's around that corner, there's nothing around the corner. Or at least nothing that you can prevent. If something is around the corner, it goes into a little cutscene upon which you need to just watch and accept the outcome. Now, the thing about the story, and as I stated earlier, it is very well done voice acted. The voice acting in the game is probably the best redemption quality of the game. It's professional. But the discrepancy comes when you have a female protagonist, a character, and she is close to worthless. Now, the character plays as a journalist, and you aboard the ship with this other guy, and this guy is an asshole. They really hit on the spot that this guy is a asshole. There's no censoring it. There's no pulling back your punches. The guy that you're trapped with is straight up 100% an asshole. If I was in this room, in this situation with this guy, I would probably beat him to death because he is just a waste of space in my opinion. But he's there. And he's there for story-wise as the protagonist of like, I hate this guy. I fucking hate this guy. But beyond allowing you to hate him, not only do they make it so that you have to look after him when he gets injured, which he doesn't even appreciate, they don't give you the option to say, you know what, fuck you, I'm not taking this abuse, I'm a strong individual. And if it's a character, and I'm not talking just in generalization because the character's a woman, I'm not saying, woohoo, let's go feminism. I'm saying in general, I don't care if a fucking character you're playing at is a smelly hobgoblin half fucking troll. Have some freaking respect for yourself. And so playing a character that is one hair short shy of being a Stepford housewife that walks around the place with a continuational gloom over her head, and when it goes into the conversations, saying, oh, well, I don't know how I can do that, or what am I supposed to do, or how am I supposed to do this? It's like, are you serious? You just spent the last 2 hours escaping from one room, engineering your way through another room, cleverly hammering stairs together out of boards, doing multitude of different tasks in order to survive and to progress forward, and now you're saying, oh no, another task has arisen, how do I do it? I can't do it, I don't know how to do it, we're stuck, we're lost, we're pathetic, and we're fucking... So not only does the game disrespect the player in saying that all your actions thus far have just been some sort of small, meaningless, trivial thing, regardless of how much issues you've had or haven't had with it, they didn't matter because this next one is so hard that you need this condescending asshole to baby you through it. That does not motivate me to play the game on a personal level because you're saying that what I've done so far has just been piss. And as the player, that I just want to take my scissors in my inventory and jam them into the fucking guy's eyeball. So yes, is that dark? Sure, but that's how the game makes you feel. Maybe not that sincere because, you know, I'm a little more violent in that aspect when I get put into a situation like that with an asshole who wants to be condescending like that, but that is what you can expect to arise from. Now, of course, not everybody will agree with that point of view, and not everybody will have that sort of experience. But there has to be something of it. There has to be some level of frustration or distrust or dislike of this fact that instead of allowing the character to be snarky, instead of allowing the character to be a female character who you can be like, you know what, you're kind of cool, or man, you got some lip on you, or something, some sort of snarky, witty remark or attitude or confidence, they play the victim. And you can't play the victim while also playing the hero. It doesn't make sense. It does not work. So not only does the story completely disrespect your time by failing to acknowledge anything you does, it goes a step further and insults the player while continuously having to deal with some asshole you don't even like to begin with and be condescending to the female character that you run around as.
At least not on this deck. How's the injury?
I feel weak. I'm still bleeding.
Wait, I'll just grab a blanket from back there. Or a rag from the clothesline.
Ugh, I'm not in that much of a hurry. Maybe you'll find some clothes that are slightly cleaner? Or even better, some actual bandages?
All right. I'll keep looking some more. But if you begin to pass out, I'll have to use these dirty rags on you.
I'm sure you'll find some nice clean bandages somewhere. In an emergency, we can make do with your blouse.
How charming. Hey, Lex, it's me! Ah! Have you gone insane?
And I missed. It's still talking.
You're out of your mind.
Everything is blurry. I can hardly see anything. I feel weak, in pain. I could really do with some medicine right now.
I found some morphine. It should help a bit.
Ah, great. Hand it over. That stuff really helps.
Do you understand me again?
Well, I still can't stand you. But the thing with the understanding seems to be working again.
You moron, you shot at me and you're not even sorry?
Well, we won't be exchanging wedding rings anytime soon. That much is for sure.
Enough with the wisecracks. I need to tell you something.
Is that so?
Maybe it was just a dream. Or my imagination. I saw a girl. Fiona. She was on this ship, as a prisoner.
What the hell are you talking about?
It's as if I was on the ship in some other time. Perhaps it's still to happen. I don't know.
That does sound rather crazy.
Yeah, it was weird. I can't explain it.
Well, maybe I can.
What do you mean?
Before I lost my senses, I was able to decipher some of the logbook's content. The Portuguese part. And I found out something rather interesting. This ship transported not only normal freight, they've made some modifications and turned the hold into some kind of distillery.
Some kind of what?
You can produce alcohol with it. I've read something about ethanol, and I think that we're on board a smuggler ship.
Yes. My vision was about smugglers too.
Anna, what I mean by this is that there are probably lots of barrels down there that are filled to the brim with volatile liquid, and they are responsible for completely clouding your senses.
No. This vision felt completely real. I can hardly describe it. I've never experienced something like that.
I can't deny that this ship is creepy, but ghosts? I don't know.
I think that the girl is the key to what's happening here. I think that I need to help her. I think that if I don't, that something terrible is gonna happen to her.
Just listen to yourself. You're not making any sense.
I found her ashes down in the machine room in front of a huge oven. If only I knew who she is or what's happened to her.
Well, there's one thing I know for sure, and that is what will happen to us if we don't get a move on and get out of here. This ship, it's got eyes and ears. It's whispering, and it's going to be our grave.
What can we do?
If what I read is true, then we need to get off this cursed ship as fast as possible. If ethanol leaks from the hold, it might kill us and we won't even notice. Or the ethanol catches fire, which would get us just as killed. We need to get off this ship. But to do that, we first have to find out where the hell we are. It's time that we uncovered a couple of this ship's dark secrets, don't you think?
But how? What should we do?
You don't know much about navigation, but I do. You need to become my eyes, ears, and hands. See if you can fix the position and get us back on course. Before we leave the ship, it's essential that we know which direction to take. Otherwise, we'll be lost in open sea.
But I'm a reporter, not a sailor.
There's no better time to become one.
Oh my god, that's blood. Lex? Lex! Oh no, Lex, wait! I've gotta help him. It's your own fault.
You think that's funny?
Maybe you'll learn something from it.
I'll make a note of it.
Pull yourself together. You have to stay awake.
I think I'm hurt real bad. I might not make it. These crates, you need to get them off of me somehow.
Okay, maybe I can just lift them off.
Hurry, damn it.
Don't pass out. I'm gonna try.
I'll do my best.
So at the end of the day, the story and its base concept is okay. You have a ghost ship with a sort of mysterious feel and some sort of tragedy which has happened, and there's a heavy atmosphere of, where did the crew go? But not, the crew got slaughtered by some sea monster. There's some obvious issues that happen, but not to a point of dark, fearful. This is, I need to get out of here. We need to get out of here. I don't even care if this guy's an asshole. We need to get out of here because this place is just that dark or that scary or that evil. But there's not that feeling, there's not that sensation, and so what happens is you end up just being pitted against the other person who really offers no benefit to you throughout the game. Sure, minor things here and there because the story was written that way and the person you play is completely inept, But outside of that, it's like, really? You couldn't do these things on your own? You couldn't put these things together? The game does not take it to a level it should have and say, you want to be a humanitarian, you want to be somebody who does not leave anybody, regardless of how much of an asshole they are, to you behind, then talk to this guy, bandage this guy, help this guy, go out of your way for this guy and try to save both of you. But if you want to be somebody who is like, guy, just fuck off, then you need to make the route available as well. So the little tiniest areas where he is actually useful, you just throw a manual and like, hey, read this manual. Oh, geez, manual reading. There's another concept which goes into us. When you quickly look at the notes that are strewn out about the ship, there should really be some subtitles to these notes, because I'm thinking to myself, even in real life, if I hold it up to a light bulb, maybe I could read some of this stuff. It is small, and it is very, I don't know if you want to call it elegant, because it's not exactly chicken scratch, but it is very difficult to read, at least for me. You may not see that way. And that is why having some subtitles at the bottom that says, hey, this is what it says in case you can't read it. But it doesn't have it. And it's just one more needle that they pry into a player and say, do you like it? Do you like it? Do you like it? It's like, fuck it, leave me alone! So even if you're able to understand every single minor thing that happens to the story, it is also at times very hard to get into it, because half the time it doesn't really describe what's going on, and when it tries to fill those gaps by the notes, you can't read the notes. So ladies and gentlemen, I cannot recommend this game. Maybe you'll like it, and if you do, then okay. But I was not necessarily appalled by it, but if this game was a person, I'd probably punch it in its face. I've been SocioPsycho, this has been Mob Reviews, I'll see you next time.